All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for waiting an extra minute or two there. And welcome to a webinar with Top Producer today. I'm your host, Spencer, with our customer success team here at Top Producer. And today, this is going to be 4 things you want to know after you set up Top Producer X. And so this show is a really great one to watch if you've already gone through all the basics of getting started with your Top Producer X real estate CRM. Maybe you've already been in there for a while, configured your settings, set up your email, your MLS connection, all that kind of good stuff. And you really want to dig in now and learn what else you can do with your top producer. Yeah, like I said, that's exactly what this show is for. So we're going to show you a couple of really cool things you can do. And then, of course, point you in the right direction to learn more. We have tons of other resources and webinars and stuff like that as well. Thank you for joining in today. And I'll just take 1 second here. I just have my co-host joining. All right, there we go. Just want to say welcome aboard and good morning to Marvin, my colleague and partner for the show today. Just actually quick introductions. Like I said, my name's Spencer. I'm with our customer success team. I've been at Top Producer for almost 3 years now. I specialize in onboarding and coaching for Top Producer products. So really love to be able to share the knowledge I've accumulated with you guys and help give you some tips and tricks and best practices and things like that. And then with me on the show today, not on camera, but in the live chat is Marvin LaRosa, my colleague. He's in our research department in our MLS support team as well. And so Marvin has been at Top Producer for about 19 years now. So he's got a lot of tenure with the company, a lot of knowledge, and he's a great guy all around. But especially when it comes to troubleshooting and helping to make everyone's experience better overall. So always good to have Marvin with me today. Sorry, always good to have Marvin with me, period, I should say. So, all right, guys, we're going to move along in the show, but just keep an eye on the chat here on Zoom because Marvin will be posting some links to go along with whatever we're talking about. So if there's a subject that we're on and then you feel like you want to dive into that further, maybe even just, put a bookmark off to the side or something for now, you can always keep an eye on the chat, follow the links or additional information that Marvin's got in the chat there for you. And of course, if you have any questions or comments along the way, guys, please feel free to reach out as well. All of our shows are definitely interactive. And so just click that chat button, type your message or comment or question or whatever it is in there, and be happy to chat with you. And even if you just want to say hi and reach out, feel free to let us know where you're coming from today or, how long you've been doing real estate for or how long you've been with Top Producer for, anything you feel like sharing. That'd be great to hear from you guys. And just a quick reminder, if you need some help, just in general, day to day with your Top Producer products, you can always reach out to our customer care team through the live chat. All you have to do is click the chat button in the bottom right corner that's in any Top Producer product. And usually within a minute or so, you'll be connected with a customer support representative that's going to help you out. And so that's the fastest way to get some support. You can just literally just click that button, wait like a minute or so and just begin chatting and they can walk along with you. And you can also email us at support@topproducer.com. So if you have any sort of less urgent inquiries, that's also a great option. You can, of course, send a good old email over and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And so our business hours, guys, Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. till 4 p.m. in Pacific Standard Time. And so that's when you can use the live chat and things like that. You can also use it at topproducer.com/campus, which is our support site. And so that's a great way to go as well, because there's tons of resources on there and you can use the live chat anytime without even being signed into a Top Producer service at the time. All right, folks, so we're going to jump into the content of the show for today. So here are some main points that we're going to be going over, starting with using contact statuses and types to really customize and organize your sales pipeline. So we're going to show you kind of what that looks like, what you can do with that, and how you can really make your system work for you day to day, make your own custom contact lists, set your own reminders. And like I said, at the end of the day, get the job done that you need to do. And then we're going to show you how to use the brand new relationships feature to build rapport with your contacts, keep in touch with the whole family if you need to, or just the right contacts, include spouse contacts and things like that. in your emails very easily, and so on and so forth. We'll then talk about simplifying database management overall with the follow-up coach, which is a great feature anyone can use literally anytime to focus on 5 contacts at a time to really make sure no one slips through the cracks, make sure everyone's followed up with, make sure everyone's record is up to date, and much more. And then we'll also show you how to set up routines, I should say, using templates and plans, featuring the new automated lead response feature that we launched about a month and a half ago or so. So yeah, some really exciting stuff to show you guys today. So on to our first point, folks. We're going to be talking about contact statuses as mentioned. And so, as you can see in the slide here, along the top of the contacts page in Top Producer X, you have these 5 main contact status tabs by default. And this is kind of what we call your sales pipeline, right? It's your bird's eye view of your business at any time you need it. And, it wouldn't do you much good if everything was just bundled all together in one list. You wouldn't be able to find anyone you need, right? And so that's exactly why, CRMs have these different pipeline stages. And so in Top Producer, they're obviously very real estate specific. So just to break them down for you guys quick, just in case you need a little bit of a reminder, or maybe you just didn't get a chance to really learn about them in the first place yet. Starting with new, this is your brand new lead phase. This is that brand new lead inquiry that just arrived in your Top Producer, whether it's one you just added on your own, or maybe you have your online lead sources connected to your Top Producer, and someone made a new inquiry on Zillow or Realtor.com or Bold Leads or whatever it is. Those would be examples of brand new leads that landed new, meaning you haven't contacted them yet, as far as the CRM knows, right? And so those would be the ones that obviously you'd want to action on as soon as possible, and then actually move them over to the next stage, which is engage, basically signifying that you followed up with them, but they're not yet qualified as like a prospect or as like a client, right? And so that way you can differentiate between who's actually brand new to you, that that's someone that you need to reach out to right away versus someone that you've already started those follow-up processes with, right? And so they can stay and engage, for a little while until you kind of realize, are they a good prospect or not? So if you kind of do convert them to being a client, let's say they're a buyer that's making an inquiry, maybe they're pre-approved, they're ready to go like as soon as possible. You could be like, okay, let's move them from engaged to active, signifying a current opportunity, right? There's no further sort of things needed. They're your client. You're going to help them, find their dream home now, right? So, or if they're more of a long-term prospect, a colder lead, you can definitely move them from engaged to future. It's still going to help you stay in touch with them, and at the end of the day, it gives you different ways to structure your database. And like I said, at a glance, find who you need to find and take action. And then finally, there's closed. Obviously, when you close a transaction out with someone, you want to also move the contact over to close, signifying completed transaction. And, just like everything else, the CRM is still definitely going to advocate for you to stay in touch with those people, repeat business, referrals, obviously huge opportunities there, maintain those relationships, which is what Top Producer X is really going to help you do. And so that's great and everything, those 5 main statuses, but a lot of the times there's going to be a definite need to be way more specific than just these 5 statuses. But thankfully, that's exactly what contact types are for. And so we see in this example here that we'd be on the active tab, but the contact types are completely different for everyone, right? So this person's a seller and they happen to be a seller that's currently listed, which I guess makes sense because they're inactive, right? So they're current client. We have a buyer who happens to be a first-time buyer. So that at a glance always reminds me that they're a first-time home buyer. I should take that into account when I talk to them. And maybe I also want to target those first-time home buyers with a different set of sort of marketing materials and stuff, right? So it's giving me more flexibility as well. Buyer, investor, FSBO, all this good stuff. And so, yeah, just an example there of how those 2 categorizations should really be used hand in hand. So that way, yeah, you can see all your active contacts, but I could also pull up all my sellers that are currently listed and just focus on those ones if I wanted to. And so, guys, we're going to jump into Top Producer X next and show you some more examples. Just let us know in the chat if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help you out with that, or even show something live that you're wondering about how to accomplish, because I think that would be fun as well. Okay, so we're going to jump into TPX. Just going to have a quick sip of coffee here, and we're going to jump right into some examples. Got my my trusty, double espresso iced Americano with me today with a little bit of oat milk in there. Keeps me going throughout the show. And so, guys, we're here in Top Producer X, and we're on the contacts page. And let me just zoom in a little bit, just so it might be easier to see on Zoom. So along the top of the contacts page here, we have our sales pipeline as mentioned. And by the way, guys, just a little disclaimer. All the contacts you're seeing here are, make believe. They're just randomly generated. So there's no real people's information here, other than like if you see my own name or Marvin's name or something like that in here. So just a heads up. So we have our sales pipeline across the top of the page. For like the example in the slide, if I click on my active tab, I see all sorts of contacts, right? Really, the only thing that they have in common is that they're all active clients. Besides that, they've got tons of different buyer preferences, different contact types, all that kind of stuff. And so, like I said, I could tell at a glance that I have 36 active contacts, which might be a little bit unrealistic, but we're going to ignore that for the sake of this example. I'd be just swimming in potential money here if that were true. I wish, but but like I said, sometimes you need to be able to focus on contacts a little bit more than that. So let's say, for example, I want to bring up all my buyers that are under contract with me, because those guys, I'm working with them day in, day out. We're trying to find the right home for them. We've gone all in at this point, right? And I want to make sure that, of course, they're taken care of. I'm keeping my contact records up to date with as much information as possible, and taking care of everything to do with them, right? So we can see right here that, for example, John. He's a buyer under contract. So this is one really easy way to search for contacts. Just click on that tag. And just like that, that's going to refine the search. And now everyone on this page is a buyer under contract. And so that's one way that I could focus on these contacts, and then see, based on their last touch, if they need some tending to and that sort of thing. And I can just do that at any time I want, just to keep changing that search. So that's one way. And you may have noticed that in the search bar, it's actually just filled in this search for me. And so that's all that does really. It's just a shortcut to doing a search. Because if you type in is with a colon, that's going to tell the system you want to do a search for contact type. So that's just one way. You can, of course, type it manually as well. But sometimes you're going to be doing searches for certain sets of contacts pretty often, right? Like I said, those buyers under contract, maybe your sellers that are listed with you. Maybe you want a list of your hottest leads, right? Or maybe just even the vendors that you're working with all the time. You can actually customize your sales pipeline to do all of that. And so, guys, just moving my window over so you can see that, despite Zoom probably blocking the top right. But what we're going to do is click on this little gear icon in the top right corner next to the blue Add Contact button. And we're going to go ahead and create tab, because this is going to allow us to customize our sales pipeline beyond what you see, right out of the box, right? So it's going to ask us how we want to create a tab. I'm going to go ahead and label this one. Like I said, maybe I want to focus on my hottest leads. Maybe I've already determined that I want to do like a letter grading or something like A, B, C, D. That's a really common method. For anyone that needs a system, let me just kind of explain a little bit more. Some people like to tag their leads in ways like A, meaning, you could say, for example, pre-approved buyer that's looking to buy within the next 3 months, right? You could say B is the exact same thing, but they're not pre-approved, right? You could say C is, looking to buy in 3 to 6 months, and then D could be 6+ months. And so even something like that can go a long way towards categorizing your leads and allowing you to focus your efforts a little bit more precisely, right? And send them different materials, of course, and stuff like that, right? So let's go ahead and say we want to call this hot leads, right? Just to keep it simple. And then we're going to tell it what contact types we want to show us when we click on that tab. And so I'm going to search for A. I'm going to select that one. So there's one. I can also select B, which I've already made ahead of time, right? So that way, this tab is going to show me both. And so let's go ahead and create that tab. And so just like that, guys, we have a brand new tab called Hot Leads. I am going to actually rearrange this. I'm going to click and drag this over to the left. Maybe I want it over here, next to engage, right? Or even between future and active or something like that. You can do whatever you want with that. And then what we can do now is we see everyone in this list is tagged with A and B. This allows us to focus on just those ones. So let's say maybe these ones we wanted to do a little bit of email marketing with, right? Well, that would be super easy now because we scroll down to the bottom, we see we have all the contacts good to go, loaded up. We're going to select all in the top left. And then, there's a couple different things we could do here. We could send a group email, for example. And maybe we have a template prepared already. We could select some sort of marketing template that we've put together. Maybe like, for example, sneak peek at new properties, like that kind of thing, right? And then select the template. So 27 emails to be sent. I mean, that sounds great to me, right? We know that all 27 of these people are our best prospects, right? So this is probably going to mean something to them. So let's go ahead and send this group email. And so this is a lot less stressful, right? Instead of trying to target hundreds or thousands of people in our database, we've targeted the 27 ones that we've determined already to be our best prospects, right? So, the sooner you start kind of categorizing people in your database as you go, and just keep in mind, you don't have to do it all at once, right? You can do it as you talk to them and you understand what their needs are and what their timeframes are and that kind of stuff. Just make a habit of tagging them right after that call or whatever. And then that way you start to really structure your database. A couple other things we could do while we're here. Let's say we wanted to put just our A and B leads on some sort of follow-up plan. Well, we could do that as well. We could click on this little mass update plan button up here. It looks like a clipboard with a little gear icon on it in the top left. And then what we can say is we want to add a buyer prospecting plan, for example, right? And we could say it's starting today, right from that email, right? So then we can apply that plan. And it says it might take a few minutes, to apply it to that many contacts. But that's going to give us more of well, I was going to say plan. That's obvious. I mean, more of a guideline of what to do next after that email, right? So we haven't just sent an email and then hoping they reply. We sent an email, but we set them all up on a task plan at the same time so that we carry on with the follow-up efforts, right? So lots of cool things you can do with this, guys. Maybe you want to even add a contact type at the same time. We could mass update that and say buyer prospect plan, right? And then that way, at a glance, we can pull up all of our contacts that are on that plan as well. So it never hurts, right? The more the merrier, in my opinion, because that's just more ways to categorize your contacts, more ways to search for them and keep an eye on those contacts, right? So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys some ideas. There's tons of cool things you can do with contact types and contact statuses. And then, let's say we kind of get closer to converting one of these leads. Maybe this one right here starts responding to us and they say, you know what, I think now's the time. Like, let's go for it, like that kind of thing. We can start to move them from engaged to active, just like that. And we can go into edit contact at the bottom and start to modify their contact types. So, maybe we want to say like they go under contract with us, we can add buyer under contract and keep that up to date as we go, right? Save contact. And yeah, so guys, like I said, let us know if you have any questions in the chat. Hopefully that spurs some, some inspiration there for what else you can do with this. It's very open-ended. You can really customize your pipeline in any way that you want to. And actually, one quick last thing before we move on to the next point, guys, is maybe my hot leads, I want to set a additional reminder just to make sure nothing slips through the cracks, right? I can go ahead and add a follow-up reminder. Let's say for my hot leads, I want to set a 30-day reminder, right? Just in case, even as like a backup, right? I can go ahead and set that. And then just like that, anyone that is past that 30-day threshold is now going to be highlighted in red and it says overdue. So that's a visual cue that's going to also spur us to take action. You'll see that this person here is fine because we just sent them an email or we just applied a plan and wrapped that up and all that kind of stuff, right? So all good to go. All right, guys, so we're going to move on to our next point. But like I said, don't hesitate to ask us if you have any questions. So moving on to our next point, we're going to talk about relationships. So if you've been with Top Producer, for a little while now, you may know that this is a brand new feature that didn't exist before. If you're a brand new user watching this right now, all you have to know is that relationships is a great feature that's going to help you keep your contacts connected to each other. Previously, we used to have the two spouses together. Now they have their own record. So that way you can stay focused on what really matters just to one person. You can keep track of their contact information a little bit more precisely, I find, instead of having it all jumbled up on one contact record, but still keep them connected for things that matter, like sending them both emails at the same time or stuff like that. So because I would think generally you might have your main point of contact. For example, you could have their kids there and stuff like that. But obviously, if they're like kids, they probably don't need to be too involved in any of the real estate stuff and transaction processes and stuff. So you can kind of keep the majority of your notes focused on the main contact, right? So what we're gonna do is jump into TPX and show you this in action in just 1 second. All right, guys. So going back to Top Producer X now, let me show you a couple quick examples of how you could use relationships. So let's say we go to that. Let's search for our buyer under contracts like we used in a previous example. And let's say we open up Mr. Dawson's record here. Definitely a real person. I'm just kidding. And let's say we go to the relationships tab. And we just realized, we haven't actually added John's spouse here, right? So this is a good opportunity for me to actually show you guys how to do this. So we're going to go to add relationship in the top right corner. And then we can search for an existing contact, or we can create a new contact on the fly. And just to show you guys something kind of important here, if we click on add new contact and we scroll down, you might notice that the contact status, it's actually defaulted to non-client. The reason for that is because we don't want these relationship contacts to clutter up your sales pipeline, right? You don't need 5, leads, one for each of the family members, that you have to manage individually. That would be way too much work, and we wouldn't want to do that to you guys, right? So that's why these new relationship contacts default to non-client. And so that way you can still search for them and they're still there and everything. They just won't be in new, engage, future, active, or close. And so they're a little bit more static. And so that way, like I said, you can focus on moving the primary contact through your sales pipeline. And so if we go back here, let's say we want to search for a current contact. Let's say Janet. Do I have anyone? Let's say Janet here is his spouse, right? We can select Janet and say it's the spouse. It's going to default to spouse because obviously we know that's the most common one. And then we're going to go ahead and save relationship. And so just like that, Janet is tagged on there. All I have to do is click on Janet's name and it's instantly bringing me to her contact record instead. I can add additional relationships. Maybe I need to add someone as a child. For example, I could say child, and I could just say child's name is Tim, right? Don't need his phone number, obviously. Don't need anything like that. But we just want to keep a record of that. And little recommendation, guys, is you might want to also add some contact types onto here that take that to the next level. So you could also say child as a contact type. So that way you can see this person is simply just a child, like a relationship contact, when you're just browsing through your contacts. So I find that just makes it a little bit easier. Going to go ahead and save that contact and save relationship. And so Tim is on there, child. I click on Tim. He's also tagged with the same contact type of child as per my recommendation, right? And this is John's his parent. So you can really easily keep your contacts connected like that. Just to take a moment, pause here, because we do have a question in the chat from Margaret. And Margaret, first off, thank you very much for joining the show today. Good to have you here, as well as everyone else watching. Appreciate you taking the time. And so Margaret's asking a question saying, why can't you select more than 100 contacts? You can in the old version. Also, why doesn't the top bar stay locked so that you don't have to keep scrolling up? So Margaret, very, very good questions. Appreciate you bringing that up. Just to address it, that starting with the first question, why can't you select more than 100 contacts? So you definitely can. It's just what happens is if you have a bunch of contacts on a page, like see, I have 757 in future, right? You may have to scroll down to the bottom a couple times because every time you scroll down to the bottom, it's going to load up 25 more contacts. And so you'll see if I go down more than like 3 times, and then I go back up to the top and then select all in the top left. Might just take a second because that is a lot of contacts. I should be able to select more than that. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, it is having a little bit of a hard time, but there we go, 150. So just like that, 150 selected. So Margaret was saying, I'm sorry for emailing purposes. Yeah, I understand that now, Margaret. That makes more sense. Yeah, so for emailing purposes, it's kind of a tricky one. The reason I say that is because the group email feature in TPX, it operates completely differently than the mass email feature in 8i. In 8i, what would happen before, and I apologize to any new users that might have no idea what I'm talking about right now, but Top Producer 8i is just simply the classic version of Top Producer. But in Top Producer 8i Classic, you would queue up to 1,000 emails at a time, and those would be sent by our mass email servers. The biggest downside to that is that the deliverability was very hit and miss because it's being used by hundreds or thousands of other users as well, right? So deliverability coming from a system like that with a lot of people using it can never really be that good because it's affected by other people's habits, if you understand what I mean. And so when you're sending a group email from Top Producer X, it has to be kind of a little bit limited, mostly to protect your own account because you're sending out up to 100 emails at a time, which I understand definitely not anywhere near as much as you could in 8i, but it's coming directly from you. So it's coming from your Gmail account, your Outlook account, your Yahoo account, whichever kind of account you're using. And so it's using that to fulfill the emails rather than a mass email server. And so we really obviously want to do our best to protect your email account and your email account's reputation, if you will, right? Just to give you an example, when I'm doing these demonstrations live for these webinars, and I'm using like a test Outlook account or test Gmail account or whatever, my Outlook account has gotten flagged multiple times and suspended multiple times just from demonstrating group email because maybe I've gone a little bit too crazy with it, right? So it says, we've detected some unusual behavior from your account, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to get a text message sent to my phone to unlock my account. And so that's just a very real example of how there's tons of benefits to this because it's coming directly from you. Deliverability will be absolutely excellent, just like any other email sent from you. And your clients will 100% be able to see that it is indeed really you in your email account and that sort of thing. And you get email open tracking as well. So you can see whether or not people are opening those emails as a bonus. So yeah, well, it may be more limited. It has tons of advantages because it is coming from you. But at the same time, we do want to make sure that your email account doesn't get locked or flagged or suspended or that kind of thing. So we may be able to look into changing that limit in the future. But some people are just using basic email accounts that maybe don't have great limitations and stuff like that. And so we do have to be, erring on the side of caution a little bit more. So sorry, I know that was a long answer, but I just wanted to give you a thorough but real answer. So I hope that helps, Margaret. There are going to be some improvements coming for being able to select contacts easier and things like that. So we do understand that this is definitely something that can cause some frustration. So we're going to see what we can do about that. We'll still keeping things, as safe as possible, if you will. So that's my TED talk for today, I guess. But thanks for the questions there, Margaret. Sorry, in terms of the top bar staying locked, I actually completely agree with you. I think it should be like that as well. So I'm going to try to pass that along or kind of nudge our product team a little bit more. I think I actually personally submitted some feedback on that a little while back. So I'll try to bring that up again because I do agree it really should stay static so that you don't have to scroll back up. So good point, Margaret. Thank you very much for that as well. No problem, Margaret. Thank you. And so guys, what we're going to do now is move on to our Actually, no, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting distracted. So what we're actually going to do is show you really quick a benefit of that relationships contact we were just talking about. So we were just dealing with John, right? Let's say I need to deal with sending an email to not just John, but his spouse, right? Thankfully, this is super, super easy because it's just going to kind of automatically allow us to do that. We're just going to give it one sec here. And should have my emails coming up in just a moment. Okay, well, my apologies, guys. This is very much a test account, so I'm not surprised if I run into issues with it once in a while. I think that should be okay now. It just needed to sort of reconnect to my email account. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so email history, right? What I'm going to do is show you guys really quick. We can go to compose email in the top right, and really cool thing is it's going to automatically suggest to us that we include the spouse on this email. So that way, you don't have to try to copy and paste their address in. You don't have to hunt it down or whatever. You just simply click on their name here, and then it just adds them right into the toolbox. So really, really handy. And you can do this with other relationship contacts as well, not just spouses. So from here, I can, pull up an email template, let's say, and I could send them both an email. So let's say, sneak peek at new properties, right? Maybe I want to select this one and send that off to both of them at the same time. And that's going to show up in the email history for both contacts now. So I can see if Jen has opened this with that little red eye, it's going to switch to a green eye if she has opened it. And same with, both of them, I should say. Yeah, John and Janet show up on there as recipients is what I meant to say. Yeah. And so relationships is a feature that is going to continue to evolve. So stay tuned, guys. Going to definitely bring more and more functionality to it. But yeah, right now, what you can do also is if you want to add a note to maybe both contacts at the same time, you can definitely do that. We can go over to the note section and add a note and see at the bottom here, it's going to say John, right? We can go ahead and just also search for Janet and click on Janet's name. And then let me just quickly just put it like sort of test in there just to show you. And then that note is on both of their records. I switch over to Janet and there's that note as well. And this, you can do something very similar for transactions. Like let's say they're going in on a transaction together. Let me see if I have an example I can show you here. So let's say Jimmy here is the primary buyer, but his spouse is also involved in that. We can go ahead and add another party. And then let's say, I'm just trying to find an example name I can use here. So let's say Kim is his spouse or his partner or whatever, right? I could go ahead and also set her as the primary buyer. And then that way we have both primary buyers there and they're both on the record. And so just fairly easy to do. Just want to show you guys how to handle that as well. And so guys, if you have any questions about transactions, just feel free to let us know in the chat. Feel free to also reach out to us day-to-day through the live chat in the bottom right of your top producer, because you could connect to someone like Usman, and Usman's going to help you out with that, give you some more information as well. And yeah, keep providing us feedback, guys, because like I said, we do want those features to evolve and become more and more useful. The relationships is still a very, very new feature. So we do value all the feedback we get on it. Just feel free to click on that feedback button in the bottom left corner, submit your feedback there, or give current ones a thumbs up if you want to support other people's suggestions. And we'll get that to our product and development teams. All right, folks. So moving on to the next point for today, we're going to be talking about the follow-up coach. And this is actually one of my favorite features because I just love how simple it is to use and how it can really advocate for productivity. And the cool thing about the follow-up coach is if you're not sure what your next move in your CRM should be, the follow-up coach has your back. Maybe you're a new user and you've just imported contacts and you want to do a little bit of cleanup. The follow-up coach also has your back. You can use it as a cleanup tool, and you can just really use it to make sure, I should say, that it has that that you don't let anyone slip through the cracks. And so it's going to show up to 5 contacts at a time in the follow-up coach. You can refresh that. You can keep going through more and more if you have some time. But, as a baseline, we like to say about 5 contacts a day is a great starting point. You could put aside half an hour or 20 minutes or whatever you have time for and really get a lot done. And so we're going to show you what that looks like, guys. So going back to Top Producer X here, what we're going to do is actually click on the follow-up coach. And actually, before I do so, let me give you a little sort of scenario, right? Let's say it's kind of the mid-afternoon. You've taken care of some of your tasks in the morning. Maybe you had an appointment to take care of. Maybe you had a showing. Maybe you are kind of, half on your lunch break or something like that. And you're kind of in your CRM, sitting at your computer, and you're wondering to yourself, what could I be doing right now to kind of be a little bit extra productive, right? Maybe all my tasks are taken care of as far as I know, and my clients are happy and all that kind of good stuff. My leads are followed up with. Well, the follow-up coach is always going to be a great answer to a question like that. So what we'd want to do is maybe just, go over here, click on the follow-up coach. And just like that, there's 5 more things that we can work on, right? And so it's going to bring these contacts to our attention for a variety of different reasons. It could literally be as simple as something like Richard over here, where schedule a follow-up to ensure imported contacts don't fall through the cracks. It's really saying this person was part of a mass import of contacts from like a spreadsheet, and it just doesn't know like whether we've taken any action on them yet, right? So it wants us to take a moment to add some sort of information to that record. Or it could be something like an active client of ours, like Katie on the left here, where we haven't sent them a market snapshot report yet. And so it's advocating for us to provide them some additional services and additional value. Especially like, let's say they're a buyer, we could send them a market snapshot to give them properties to browse through. And that way we kind of automate that a little bit more. They can inquire and it's going to go directly to our email, right? If they're a seller, we can also send them a market snapshot, keep them up to date with what their neighbors are selling for, in their immediate area. So they get a good indicator of what their home might be worth, right? So lots of different things we can do with that. Let's see. Even someone in our sphere of influence, it's going to tell us, put your sphere to work. And it's going to kind of remind you that you can get a lot of business out of that, right? Just working your sphere and doing some follow-up, right? Let's go ahead and click on Katie here on the left, this active client. And it's going to elaborate and say, send a market snapshot to send neighborhood reports every 6 months and tell them what the neighbor's house sold for too. And so guys, in case anyone's not aware, Market Snapshot is actually an add-on to Top Producer X. It's going to be something that allows you to customize a real estate market report to someone. And it's something super valuable because you set it up for them once, right? And then it's going to continuously go out to them on a schedule and also provide them daily listing alerts so they don't miss out on any hot new properties or anything like that. And so if you don't have Market Snapshot and you want to learn more about it, just let us know in the chat. We can get someone to reach out to you and even give you a free demo on that. But if you do have Market Snapshot, just a quick little example of how you could use this here. We see that Katie is a buyer, first-time buyer, that kind of thing. We see that we've tagged some sort of, buyer preferences. Those would be, that would be way too low for Vancouver, 350K, but Marvin's probably laughing along with me. So we'd probably want to change that, especially condo. Yeah, I'm going to say 750K. So I'm going to, just tag that as a contact type. And I can also add that as the buyer preferences. And so now let's go ahead and click on the send market snapshot because we want to keep Katie up to date with some new properties, right? So actually we're going to scratch the whole thing about Vancouver because I'm not connected to the Vancouver MLS. I just realized, but just give me 1 second here. And I'm just going to look up Seattle zip code because I can show you guys properties from Seattle. So just 1 second here. Let me try that again. So what I could do here, guys, if I'm doing a buyer report, I could even just fill in a zip code, 998-101. And then down here, I can set the search criteria. So it's automatically filled in the buyer preferences. I can, narrow this down even more. Let's say we need a minimum of 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath or something like that, right? And then down here, we can set the report frequency. So the report frequency is how often your market snapshot goes out. If this were a buyer under contract, like we see, we're going to want to send them a pretty frequent report, I would say, and we're going to want to keep them up to date with daily listing alerts, right? So just listed, of course, anything new comes on the market, they're going to want to know about it. Price change, could be valuable as well. Just sold, maybe they had their eye on something that unfortunately went off market. They're probably going to want to know about that as well, right? And so, my apologies, guys. For some reason, this is not loading for me, the search within. So let me just try something here really quick, because I do want to ideally show you a quick example of that. All right, let's just try this again. And if this doesn't work, I won't hold you guys up any longer on this. But normally, guys, I'm not too sure why this isn't loading right now, but normally there'd be the fields that you can fill in where you want to search in. So what I would normally do is instead of just using the zip code, I would want to select, let's say, Seattle, right? Or a specific area in Seattle that they're interested in buying in, and then send them a report for that. And so that way it's going to keep them up to date on that area that they like the most. And they can browse as many properties they want. They can like them. They can send me an inquiry about them. And it has my branding attached to it all over, So just to show you an example really quick. The market snapshot report would look a lot like this. So this is a demo one, but they'd be able to browse properties. They could check out market analytics based on a 90-day trend. So lots of valuable information here. And they can even sort by status. So let's say they're looking at the map. They don't want to see these sold properties. Just click on sold and they're just gone. So it's very easy to filter them and things like that. So that's Market Snapshot in a nutshell. Sorry that I couldn't fully show you how to send one. But going back to our example of the follow-up coach, I guess the moral of the story here is that the follow-up coach is the one that led us to that point of productivity, right? So let's say we've sent a Market Snapshot. We can go back and do maybe a follow-up on that. We can send an email, or we could even send a text message if you're in the US. Let this person know, hey, I just sent you this great market report. Feel free to check your inbox and let me know if you have any questions, right? And so then I know that that person's taken care of and I can move on to the next contact. So I can go ahead and click actually follow up on Katie. And market is done, and just say we sent a snapshot. I could say sent snapshot for Seattle or downtown area or something like that, right? And then what I could do is I could set a reminder for myself to take my next action. So I could say I want to give a call, follow up on snapshot report. Let's say I want to schedule that for Monday, right? And then save that wrap up. So that way I don't forget to take my next action, just in case I don't hear back from Katie, right? So that's going to be on my calendar, my task list, all that kind of good stuff. And so that's one down and 4 contacts to go. And guys, you can really use this to, make sure everyone's up to date, everyone's taken care of. And one thing I want to leave you with is try your best to avoid using that skip button. And the reason I say that is because it really kind of takes away the point of the follow-up coach. If you skip them, you're just forcefully marking them as complete and essentially putting them to the back of the line for a follow-up. So just remember, guys, if they're in the follow-up coach, they're here for a reason. It could be because that last touch date is way overdue, and you should at least add some sort of note on there to say that you've already dealt with them or that they're okay or whatever it is, or maybe they could use some extra service. And so try to do your 5 a day, and I guarantee it's going to really lead you to some great opportunities. And it's going to be something that at the end of the day gives you that competitive edge that I know you must be looking for if you're using real estate CRM. So definitely, guys, let us know if you need any more help with the follow-up coach. Reach out to the live chat and we'll give you a little bit more assistance if you like. All right, guys, moving on to our last point for today. Just a second. we're going to talk about how the use of templates and plans can really help you streamline your routines and marketing processes. And so, if you find yourself often sending or typing, the same emails to people over and over again and that kind of thing, rest assured you can really automate that with the use of templates in Top Producer X. So you can have your templates prepared that you use time and time again for different situations. And then you can even incorporate these templates in what we call task plans. And so task plans are just simply a series of tasks that you want to work your way through every single time, right? Instead of scheduling them one by one for a person. And so very, very powerful. You can have them send out automated emails with your templates. You can have call and to-do reminders and things like that. And you can even use task plans for your transactions. So if you have your transaction records in Top Producer X, you want to make sure you hit all the points, your checklist for that listing, for example, you can have your listing checklist that you apply, and it's going to keep you on track every single time. So jumping into Top Producer X, guys, to show you what this looks like, we're going to take a little trip over to the marketing tab on the left side of TPX. And if you have Market Snapshot, first off, you'll see all your Market Snapshot reports here, which is nice, by the way, because you can keep an eye on them and you can view details about them, as well as any associated listing alerts that your snapshot recipients are getting day to day. But we're going to go over to the template library, actually. So the third tab in, and here we can see all of our email and texting template content. And so reminder, once again, guys, texting is only available in the US at this time. So we're going to focus a little bit more on email because that's available to all users, Canadian users and everything as well. So as we can see here, there's tons of different content. Some of it says system on the right side, meaning it's included. Some of it says personal, which means it's my own personal copy that I made. And so it's categorized, current buyer, current seller, events, lead conversion. This is just for your own organization so that you can easily find what you need, right? So all of your content is prepared here first, and then you can use it later. So for example, maybe I want, let's say something for Christmas coming up, right? I can, under events, find my Christmas template that I made. So just to show you what this looks like, I'm going to click on this one right here. Client appreciation event coming up for Christmas or something like that. See, I have a template prepared for that. So that would allow me to then use that template to send to anyone that I wanted to, really, right? If I click on customize template at the bottom, guys, it's going to actually assume that I want to create another template. So just only do that if you want to, make like a different version of this one. If you want to edit your template, you're going to have to click on the pencil icon on the far right side. And that's going to take you right to the edit email template screen where I can actually modify that existing template of mine. So you can do a lot with this here. You can insert images and do some different formatting options. So you can really have some fun with this as well. If I want to, for example, put a nice big Merry Christmas image in there or something like that, or let's say Christmas time. Let me just see what I can find really quick. Sorry, guys, just be a few more seconds here. Okay, so I think I found a good one. Let me just save this. All right, so let's say I want to put a Christmas image in here. I can go to the insert image button. And just going to quickly browse my computer to find that. Insert that image, and just like that, I've got a little Christmas image in there, right? And just make it themed, make it fun. You can resize the image any size you want, right? That kind of thing. So you can really just have some fun with this, guys, and make this content ahead of time. Think if you wanted to do like a newsletter or something, you could have your newsletter content, right? And then save that template. And then just like that, I can go ahead and send that. So maybe I want to search for all my past clients, right? And start with them. I'm going to say is past client. And then I can bring up my past clients here. I can, select up to 100 of them at a time, right? And then send them off that group email. So just using a demonstration just with the first 50 here, I can go ahead, group email. Scroll down to the event section. Oops, I may have passed it. And select that template, right? And that's ready to be sent off to all those people. So lots of different things you can do with this, guys. In terms of task plans, let's head over to the marketing tab once again and go to the task plan manager. And so, let's say, for example, I want to incorporate some templates that I've put together in a task plan. I can definitely do that. So let's say, for example, a past client after sale follow-up plan, right? So after I close with someone, I maybe want to apply a plan every single time to make sure that I consistently reach out to them after sale as well, right? So I click on the plan. And as you can see here, you can structure it in any way that you want. So I can say on day one, there's an email that goes out automatically asking them for a review, for a testimonial, right? That kind of thing. Reminds me 2 weeks later to make sure I've updated the CRM with their birthdays and anniversaries in case I haven't yet. And then another email follow-up. And so you can really just tune this however you want, right? This is an example of the built-in one that I may have modified a little bit. And then so what I can do is, for example, ask for review. I can click on this little pencil icon and see I can control which template goes out. So I search for testimonial request, click on it. And now it's going to send that template. I can make sure it has my signature. I can make sure that it sends automatically and save that task. And so task plans, guys, there's so many different things you can do with it. It would take a long time to kind of explain it all in thorough detail, but we do have some resources in order to help you out with that. So just keep an eye on the chat here on Zoom if you want to learn more. Marvin actually has some stuff in there for creating a task plan, as well as creating and sending email templates already. So just check out his last 2 messages if you want to learn more, because there's some more detailed content that you can take a look at there. So let's say, for example, we then close with a contact. We have an active contact we're working with, right? Let's say, for example, James. And let's say we just finalized everything, right? We're going to switch them to closed. It's celebration time, right? And we're going to go ahead and go to tasks, apply plan in the top. Let me move this in case Zoom is blocking it. Sorry, so top right corner, apply plan. And then we're going to search for the past client after sale follow-up plan, right? Set it to today and then apply the plan. And it might just take a few seconds to apply here. And there we go. So we have this whole series of tasks laid out for us now that we can follow after sale. Housewarming gift, find out when moving day is, ask for review, all that kind of good stuff. And we can click on the little tab at the top here anytime to just focus on those specific tasks or remove the plan if we need to. And just a little tip, guys, if you unapply a plan, it's not going to remove any history of any completed tasks. It's only going to remove the ones that you haven't done yet. So if you've done, like, let's say half of a plan, but then you need to turn it off, that's completely okay to do. It'll still maintain that history of your completed tasks. So guys, like I said, lots you can do with that. Let us know if you need any help. Feel free to reach out to us through the live chat and we'll show you more. And before we do finish off here for today, we do have about, I would say about 5 more minutes. I did mention lead auto response. So that is another type of plan that you can use. This is a newer feature as well, guys. So if you are paying for online leads and you'd like to get a little bit of help there and make sure that you're making the most return on investment out of your leads, something like the lead response plans can definitely help you. So guys, what you want to do is first, if you don't have your lead sources set up with Top Producer yet, head over to settings in the bottom left, head over to lead providers, and feel free to click on this little question mark button because it's going to actually give you a video walkthrough of how to connect your lead providers first if you haven't done that yet. After doing that, head over to your marketing tab and then go to your task plans manager. And then just really quick, I'm going to delete this so I can start fresh. And so guys, what a lead response plan is it's something to help you right off the bat when you get a new lead inquiry. It's going to be automatically applied to the new leads that you want it to. It's going to remind you to give them a call. It's going to send them automated emails and text messages if you're in the US. And it's going to cut off that plan by default if the lead replies, or it's going to ask if you want to stop it if you've taken action on your own. So really, really powerful stuff. tries its best over a 5-day period with the default plan. You can tailor yours however you want, but even the default one tries to get them engaged as much as possible. So if you want to get started with lead response as soon as possible, and you're paying for online leads and you really want to make sure you just get this up and running as soon as you can, feel free to click on Browse Templates in the top right. Click in Search Plans and search for Lead Response Plan. And then click on Customize Plan. Then just go right down to the bottom, save that plan. That's going to make it ready for you to use now. So now if we go back, there's that lead response plan. We can click on it. And as you can see, in just a second here, it's a very, very high touch plan over a series of 5 days meant for that initial lead inquiry response. So it's going to send an email. It's going to remind you to send a market snapshot. It's going to send a follow-up email on that snapshot. It's going to remind you to call them, send another email, so on and so forth. And like I said, as soon as that lead replies to either an email or a text message, it's going to halt the plan so that it doesn't keep sending them content that they might not need anymore, right? So really powerful. You can tailor this however you want, guys. You can even say that you want to make your follow-up call be due at 3:30 p.m. or something like that, right? You can actually say a specific time, which we added in a recent update. So very, very powerful, guys. If you don't want to, 20 minutes after the inquiry and that ends up being like, past midnight or something, you can actually set it so it's always going to be at a specific time the next day or something, right? So really, really cool. After doing that, guys, make sure you head over to your lead response rules tab, click on add lead response rule, and then you have to tell it who you want this plan to apply to. So we could say, for example, realtor.com and bold leads or something like that, right? So then we can say, we want this to apply to all leads from realtor.com and bold leads. And then if they're a buyer or a seller, we can apply this plan and then just save that rule. So just like that, going forward from this point on, all my new leads are going to get that plan applied to them. All of them are going to be taken care of. And it's going to allow me to make sure I get them to engage as fast as possible and that I follow up with them in a timely manner as well. And so if you want to find out more about that, guys, it's an extremely powerful tool. It's just part of your Top Producer X. Let us know in the chat or reach out to us through the live chat in the bottom right. And Marvin also has an article and guide there for you as well. And so, guys, that's all we have time for today. But just keep in mind that we have tons of other resources and ways to learn, including other webinars. And so all you have to do is go to topproducer.com/campus. You can view the webinar schedule there. Feel free to register for any shows that you're interested in. And our quick start video library is there. And you can even search by keyword for specific topics and focus on those topics and learn more. Check out our blog, YouTube page, and Facebook user group if you like as well. And another reminder, guys, if you need any help day to day, just please don't hesitate to reach out to our customer care team, and we're going to get you the help that you need. Yeah. So live chat, email, live chat if you need a fast response, you need help on the fly. Email, better if you just need more of a sort of a casual response, like if it's not an urgent thing or something like that. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for spending an hour with me today. And I apologize if I'm a little bit unorganized today. I was just getting back from vacation, to be honest. So I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things. So I appreciate your patience, and hopefully you learned something in the show today that's going to help you going forward into Top Producer X, or even just learn something that kind of inspired you to learn more or take action or things like that. So yeah, thank you very much, folks. Happy Thursday to you. Have a great weekend coming up. This has been Spencer with Top Producer's Customer Success Team, joined by Marvin. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone. And thank you very much.